What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Videohomicide, and I'm back with another movie review / recommendation. Today, we're going to go back to the year 1974 to take a look at another film directed by Toshiya Fujita. The film is starring Miko Kaji. It is none other than Lady Snowblood 2, Love Song of Vengeance. Holy fuck. Okay, right off the bat, I enjoyed the first part better, but this movie is kick-ass. There is so much fucking memorable moments and good practical effects. Like the first film, I would say there's tons of blood spraying. This one, not so much, but they kind of amp it up on the special effects, the practical makeup. In particular, we get multiple eye wounds, eye trauma happening in this film. Funny part about that is it happens to the same fucking guy. So what can you say, man? This movie, first of all, you might be wondering, like, what the fuck could happen next? Like, at the end of the first installment of this film series, if you want to call it a series, it's two-parter. But our hero, Lady Snowblood, is basically left for dead. But she comes to, and starting off on the new film, they do this really fucking awesome thing that, like, before they show Snowblood, like, you can see her, but she's sort of obscured, like, on the screen. But you see her fucking sword in her umbrella, and it zooms in on that, and I'm like, all right, this is fucking amping up to be dope. So she begins the film on the run from the police. Got a lot of really good moments. Her killing a lot of cops at the same time, being chased around on the beach. There's an extraordinary shot in this film right in the beginning where she had stolen a police horse, and she's riding the horse down the beach. And it almost reminds me of that shot from Planet of the Apes at the end where Heston is riding on, the horse on the beach right before he sees the Statue of Liberty. Like, that was... But the fucked up thing is, this scene looks about 10 times more cinematic. It's just beautiful waves, and just the beach looks fantastic. Everything about that moment is awesome. Now, Lady Snowblood's evading the cops. She ends up finding this guy who's, like, having a fire on the beach. And, she steps on a bear trap, and the guy kind of helps her out. And she goes back with him, and sort of he nurses her up by the fire, feeds her a tea and all that bullshit. And, the next day, she goes down by the water to sort of clean herself up. Cops fucking everywhere. And, they come in, and she takes out a few of them, but she ends up getting arrested, sentenced to be executed. On the way to be executed, she's rescued by these guys that are basically wearing, like, the Filthy Ralph mask. It's hung over there now. But, like, in my one comic, on the one zine, this one right here, so, like, this kind of mask, like, very cheesy, just piece of shit mask, all these guys that rescue her, they're wearing those. And they take her to this guy who's like basically a Secret Service guy, but sort of like top of the Secret Service. And he gives her this task to go kill this guy who's like a revolutionary fucking prick. And one thing I almost forgot to mention, the scene where she's being rescued from these guys, the mask wearing fucks, the one main asshole, he kills the cop with a sai, which is like the weapon that Raphael uses in Ninja Turtles. You don't often see that weapon getting used in movies, but it gets used, and like the guy like is very greasy and fucked up looking, like looks at the camera. He's got the sai covered in blood, and he just like wipes the blood off with his glove. I love that shit, man. I absolutely love that. She takes on this responsibility to go basically, pretend to be this maid for this guy, and he's on to her from the very beginning, and more or less, but and there's a scene where he like slaps her on the ass, and it's like she's about to kill his ass, but it doesn't happen. But she ends up kind of siding with this guy who's against the government. The government's fucked people over, blah, blah, blah. They end up giving that guy the plague and sending him back to the fucking village. And, Lady Snowblood, she ends up... she ends up getting injured and finding the revolutionary guy's brother, who was fucked around by his wife and the revolutionary guy, so he's pissed off at them, and they come and trying to get him to help and all this stuff. And the wife, the cheating whore, basically, she stabs a motherfucker in the eye, and it's awesome. It looks good. Like, it's not fucking... I wouldn't say it's exactly Fulci or Argento, but it's awesome. It's early 70s eye trauma, man, and it's a fucking just excellent display of practical effects all throughout. There's a scene where an asshole gets his fucking face sliced open with a knife. It looks so good. And even like the guys that are infected by the plague, which there's only a few people like that, but like everything about it just looks authentic and fucked up and real. But again, Lady Snowblood, she ends up, saving the day more or less. But her friend that she met on the beach that she sort of developed an interest with, he ends up dying. She kills him, puts the final fucking axe in him. But there's a good moment right before, the final act of the film where Lady Snowblood is like locked in this room and she ends up getting out and just killing all the motherfuckers that are in there. And the guy that had the eye injury comes in and she ends up fucking getting him in the other eye, and it's awesome. And then she ends up capping the motherfucker with a shotgun with unlimited ammo, mind you. It's hilarious because like that shotgun gets fired like 20 fucking times, but it's a movie and we can suspend our disbelief for a little while. We get so much like good sword play in this film, but I will stress that it was lacking a little bit of blood spray. For the amount of swordplay happening, I wish there was a little bit more blood spray. But other than that, that's my only complaint about this flick. Really good stuff. Again, you would not have any kind of Kill Bill type film, any kind of like really good revenge woman samurai. Like, can you name another one that's like this? I don't think there's any other fucking movies like this. And that's why I say, like, if you watch these movies, Lady Snowblood 1 and 2, watch Female Prisoner Scorpion. There's 4 of those in that series. Like, this one, there's only 2, and, like, it's over. And it's like, okay, well, that's fine, but, this is part of, like, being a cinema fanatic is, like, on to the next one. And, like, personally, like, I have a few movies that are based on Japanese films, and I got a few that are on Chinese or Hong Kong cinema. But these are my 2 books on Japanese cinema in particular, and there's a little bit of a write-up about Female Prisoner Scorpion in each of these, but there's nothing about Lady Snowblood, so that kind of sucks. But I will say right off the bat, man, these were such a fucking fun blast to watch. And again, like, all the bloodshed and all of the fucking people getting shot, people getting stabbed, people getting beat up in the streets, that kind of stuff. Like, it's just a good time. It's shorter than the first one by about 9 minutes, but it spares no wasted time. And that's the thing I find with a lot of movies from, the 70s, the early 80s and stuff. They famously, City of the Living Dead, when the 2 parties finally meet up, and he's like, it's a long story, and then it cuts, and he's like, well, that's the story. You know what I mean? Like, there's no bullshit. It's just, let's get to the fucking point. Here we go, balls to the wall. Lady Snowblood, Volume 2, or, what is it? Love Song of Vengeance. Like, great film. And it all revolves around this government document that looks like it would just fucking fall apart at any second. But one thing I forgot to mention in the first Lady Snowblood video was this is based on a manga that was actually started by well, there we go, got a mess to clean up now. One of the guy that wrote Lone Wolf and Cub is the guy that wrote Lady Snowblood, the manga. So really interesting to keep in perspective. You know what I mean? That's one of my favorite comics I've ever read, and I'd love to get the Lady Snowblood comics. I don't know how much they cost. I'm sure they're fucking arm and a leg. Like, the last time I tried to look up them was years ago, and same with the Itchy the Killer comics. Like, they're just out of print kind of shit, so maybe if you order them from Japan, but then, like, you risk getting it in Japanese. Like, I don't really want to buy a comic that I can't read, but, if it's the only way to see that art, it's not the same artist. It's not, Kojima, I believe, is the artist. Goseki Kojima is not the artist of Lady Snowblood, but regardless, man, I had a blast watching these 2 movies. I'm glad that you guys stopped by, checked out the fucking review, the recommendation. Make sure you leave a 666 in the comments. With that being said, do some more shit with your hands. Adios, 666.